All right, here we go. This is the commentary track for Swamp Zombies 2, directed and co-written by Len Kabaczynski and myself. I was the other writer and producer, along with Kevin Oroz. So if you have our Patreon, you would have seen the preamble before this on how Swamp Zombies came to be and some of the inside baseball on all that. So go sign up for the Patreon if you're interested. If not, you're here, and let's go ahead and if you have it on Blu-ray, DVD, or if you're watching it on Tubi, go ahead and hit start right now. And here we go. We are into Swamp Zombies 2. That is the projection booth, Theater 4 at the Anthony Wayne Theater. You'll see my good friend Joe Chapman in the background there holding the girl back. And the girl is actually Melissa, who was in a lot of our videos, back when I first restarted the channel. And obviously the head of PETS, People for the Ethical Treatment of Zombies, is Crystal Quinn. Good way to start the movie right there. Great color saturation. And you got pierced boobs and blue hair and great makeup and contact lenses. This stuff was shot in Erie, Pennsylvania, after I had already wrapped. And then we're back to intercutting between the stuff that Len shot in Erie and the stuff that I shot in Allentown, PA, at Chapman Studios. But I like how we were able to, like I say in the Patreon exclusive, we shot this so out of order and all over the place that I'm actually really excited that it cut together. There is Lisa Neild, former Playboy Playmate. Had the good fortune to hang out with her last weekend when I'm shooting this in Akron, PA. And she's been in a lot of Len's stuff, so I'm really excited to know that we had gotten her for the flick. And I did this stuff. I did right. I like the visual symmetry there. That we have the hand here in the beginning, and then the hand that will come in later before the third act. But I had written all this stuff because he told me that he was going to have Lisa. There's Melissa and Abby. Mel has been in a million movies. She's a bona fide, scream queen. Works a lot with like the Polonias. You'll see her on a lot of Wild Eye releasing stuff. And Abby, who did has been on this channel before. And then you have Mr. Lobo and my good friend Brian Donahue. I've spoken about Brian many a times. We just never shot together on anything other than like this movie and some stuff that never got cut together. But yeah, so it starts off with she's supposed to go in and extract the Crystal character, but she fails, and because she fails, they need to go in and bring in Jack, the survivor of the first movie, which they didn't want to do. They wanted to keep all this stuff hidden so that the evil corporation's plan can all work out. But I do like how it cuts from like Scott, who edited, and I think Jenna edited a lot as too, did a good job giving it that vibe. There's Lobo. Lobo nails every scene that he's in. I do miss writing for him. There's my good buddy Abby. Oddly enough, using my old phone before it became broken. All that set stuff we built on the day. And so the High Point County Prison stuff, here's Len fighting. I knew this scene was going to be in the movie, but I was not privy to the writing of any of this stuff or the shooting of any of it. This was all done after I had finished. Robert Smith, not from The Cure, who's in the movie, he made up the shirts for the prisoners. This whole opening segment with him fighting in the prison made sense. It's when he goes to the warden that it took me a little bit by surprise, because they're essentially telling the same story twice, because we have the warden stuff and then we have the Lobo stuff, and they're kind of both saying the exact same thing. So that was one of my points of contention early on in the movie, but again, not my movie. Um, but I think that the actor who plays the warden is really, really good. And this scene also allows Len to do a little bit more fighting stuff, which he has some in the main feature, but I don't feel like it felt like it was kind of truncated in order to keep the dialogue stuff moving. So I know that he wasn't really happy on how the fighting stuff came out in those scenes, but I like this prison stuff. I wish I would have had a little bit more say in the warden's dialogue. So I know the script came up short. I was only told to write 60 pages, and we were going to need way more than that when it was all said and done. So I wish I would have been given a hand in this, because then I could have gotten it to the point where it was not saying the same thing twice. But I feel like I think Len wrote these scenes. The conversation about the nut and stuff like that was him trying to write like my dialogue, and it shows in certain spots. But we get the history of lagoons, where they're basically telling Len that or Jack that he's being sold to the highest bidder, basically, and that this corporation needs him, but we get that exact piece of dialogue and that exact story in the Lobo stuff that we have next, and that's where my script basically picks up, is when we get to Mr. Lobo. But this guy's got like a Jim Carrey vibe to him, like when Carrey's doing like serious stuff. So I really like his acting. I think he really nails these scenes. It's just Len doesn't have much to say here, and that's why it feels jarring when we do basically the exact same thing next. I would have added something a little bit different to kind of up the world of the reality show a little bit more, or explore the world of the the hacker group or something like that. So we would have had the counterpoint to the main plot, why Crystal's character went in, what Lobo's trying to stop. Vaguely in my script, vaguely mention what they're doing there and all that, so that when we get to the third act, it all kind of comes together. But again, we made this over a series of weekends for a couple months for $5,000 total. So fuck it, it's got a beginning, a middle, and an end, The redheaded woman who's here came out to the premiere, because she's the one who brought the Blu-rays. I don't know where this was shot. Kind of like a basement, very rustic looking. So they kind of let him go, but then he's taken right to Lobo again in cuffs. So I was just like, I wish I would have had a hand in this part to kind of make it an easier transition. But again, I wrote it in 3 days, And this script was a lot of like cobbled together ideas from older scripts and abandoned scripts and shit like that. It came together pretty quickly. Like from the time that I was able to, I put $3,000 of my own money into it, and Kevin Oroz, my former good friend from like middle school and elementary school and stuff, he put $2,000 in, and then we just rolled from there. And I worked off of favors, and then with distribution stuff, I was able to give a little bit more money to the effects people and stuff like that. And we had a big premiere. They had a premiere in Erie, PA, and then we had one in Wayne, PA, the theater I was running, and we had like 150 people at the premiere for this. So that was pretty fucking cool. I saw a lot of people I hadn't seen in a long time. It was all strangers. Like people just knew that they saw it up on the marquee and they came out to it, which was fucking wild. It's weird when that kind of shit happens. But who wouldn't just drive by and see Swamp Zombies 2 and not want to be part of that, The funny thing is, the first one I remember seeing the review for Phelan, I think was his name, used to be on Channel Awesome. He reviewed the first movie, and I know I'd seen it in like, the 2010s, 2011s, totally put it out of my mind until eventually I saw Len on Red Letter Media when I reached out to him, because the Blue Meanie is in the first Swamp Zombies movie, and he has a connection to friends of mine, and he was dating Jasmine St. Clair when I used to run the comic book store, so I hung out with them a couple times when we used to promote ECW shows at the comic book store. So there's a weird little circumstances that bring you back around to people. All right, so we're into the Killer Wolf Presents. This opening title sequence was at Nerwal Films. Before even Schlock and All, it used to be Nerwal Films. I changed it to Schlock and All when I tried to partner with Crystal Quinn, who's an actress in this movie, my former girlfriend. There she is there. I changed it to Schlock and All so that we both could share in the production thing. Robert Smith, who is only in the movie because another actor bailed the day of, but Robert did a great fucking job. And then Jenna Fryer did a lot of the motion graphics for this opening. Lisa Neild, my credit as an actor. Ryan Hickey doing special effects. Scott came to the camera operator. Written by Newt Wallen. Look at that boy. Look at that young, impressionable boy. Christy Berger, Joe Lascola. Christy did a lot of work on it. I miss her so fucking much. Produced by myself and Kevin Oroz. But Scott showed up for one day to help out and then wound up staying for the entire movie and then shot Len's next movie as well. He knew him through the Red Letter Media message boards and all that kind of stuff. So it was kind of funny. Scott was like the secret savior of this project. And Winslow Swan, taken from two names of our two main characters from Phantom of the Paradise, one of my favorite movies ever. But after after Lisa Neild's character was supposed to die, this is where my script started. And I wrote Lobo stuff first and then sent it off to him before I finished the main script to see if he liked it and he would be interested in doing it. Because I knew other people would be just down to clown regardless. You know, if I wrote Crystal a good part, I knew she would show up. If I wrote Justin Daniels a good part, I knew he would show up. He really liked the idea that he was like this dude who clearly had like a troubled past, but he was trying to make a better future for his daughter by going on this show. So I tried to add a little bit of depth in it, but Lobo in this scene, you can't look away from him. And my whole idea was to build a thematic bridge from the first movie to this movie without getting too much. If you never saw the first one, making it kind of understandable that, you know, a corporation came in, they saw this zombie outbreak, and they figured out a way to make modern day gladiator fighting, basically people going against zombies, and they put their own lives on the line to be famous and to get the big cash prizes and all that shit. It's funny when you see characters, elements that are going to show up later in the movie in this opening scene, but I didn't cut it. And I gave Len as little dialogue as possible, so he's got like the Clint Eastwood in the spaghetti westerns or the Snake Plissken kind of vibe to him, where he says a little, but the 1,000-yard stare and the masculinity that he exudes is kind of all you need. But we're basically getting the idea that they bought the land where the first movie happened. They paid off the families for the zombies. They figured out what was creating the zombies, and then they made more because they knew that the ratings were going up and up and up. And I came up with the line is like the old Pittsburgh Shuffle. It's the difference between the slow shambling zombies in something like Romero to where we get in like 28 Days Later, even though they're infected people. I wanted to show how people get bored of it and it escalates. And the main through line would be that the mouse character, which is Crystal's character, was actually a kind of PETA-esque individual who got on the show so they can get in there to get the information they need on the inside to bring down this entire thing, because they know that they're doing illegal testing and desecrating the living dead and all this kind of stuff, and the dead had rights once. This is my commentary, my creative social commentary. But Lobo just chews the fucking scenery here, and he's so smarmy and so slick that he made the lines that I wrote just really, really pop. And this scene in particular of him is just so great. His timing is so perfect. Um, just the suit, the way that the yellow tie, the yellow and the black tie, it's a warning sign for Len's character to stop and turn around and not go any further in this, but he still gets involved in it. And Lobo is essentially, and I think subconsciously because Len's got long hair, and he is kind of stationary to one place. I wrote it to be sort of like Satan coming to Jesus on the cross and offering him a deal, and then this is the rules, kind of like they did in Zombieland, like the rules to surviving Lucky Stiffs. The little piece of animation was done by Kieran, who used to be on Cinemassacre. So we have now the studio space at Chapman Productions that was in Allentown, PA. Mel, it was the first time I met Mel Heffernan, was the first time I met her. She came out and she fucking nailed the part. There was adhesive keeping the things in the back that like up on the walls, and the fog machine and everything and the heat in there kept making them fall off the walls in the middle of takes. But I just needed something for texture to give the background a little bit more depth of field, because we were going to be going with such a sci-fi style lighting scheme where it would be very cartoony, very EC Comics in its design. And then we reused these sets for some of the stuff we shot for Planet Frankenstein when we went and did that. The original idea was going to be Len was going to be dropped in with a parachute, and we were going to use a drone for that. And then the guy who had the parachute never showed up, so we had to just black bag him. And then Scott went out and shot a lot of this B-roll of them dropping him off and stuff like that, because there was a lot of stuff that we didn't get. We're moving, because we only had so little time at some of these locations. But the original plan was for this shot to be in reverse, so it would have him kind of dropped out of a helicopter and into the cornfield. This is all the same set as the camp. This is why we use it so much. It's got so many different terrains that we could use for any different type of location that we needed. The Pip-Boy was made by a friend of mine, and inside of it was the computer scanner for Fandango tickets. And then we lost that, and then so we stuck a piece of green construction paper in there to be able to CGI later, and then a lot of times they just forgot to CGI it, but I think that's kind of fucking funny. And again, Scott with his beautiful drone to get a lot of these footage that we need. It's kind of the closest we get to a swamp in the movie, but there was swampland at the camp. And this was all shot on like the third or fourth day of production. That's Wes Green, and I don't know that guy's name. He was friends with my old friend Justin Silverman. He was a wrestler, but Wes is a good friend of mine. He's done a lot of stunts. He was in Glass and stuff like that. Each time, like I was saying before, we just kind of let each effects person kind of make what they wanted to make as far as like effect, what the zombies were going to look like. And there's Lauren. Lauren was my boss for the short period of time that I worked at the pool store. She came out and helped me out on a day because she's like, I want to be a zombie. I was like, fucking show up. That's how easy it is to be in a Newt Wallen production. Just show up. So he's got that is Robert right there, and that is Len's ex-wife. I think they're not married anymore, Alicia, and she's not actually a blonde, but she took her wig off for the first time. I was like, oh shit, you don't have blonde hair, but because she's blonde in the entire movie, so I didn't realize it. But the cutoff shirt, the big boobs, and the jean shorts, very 70s exploitation movie vibe. They made a run for it because they know what's up with the game, and they won out, and they run into Len, and so they're going to use that as leverage to get out and get the money and all that kind of shit. But when they just put the guns down, I was just like, man, like, could we have explained that they weren't real or something? Like, we definitely should have done thrown a line in there when I realized he didn't want to use the muzzle flares and stuff like that. That bummed me out whenever I see it. There you go. There's when it doesn't have the construction paper on it. It did. That's. I guess that was before we lost the scanner because it has a black clear thing. But yeah, for Robert's character, I wrote it for the guy who directed another movie that I was in, and that guy didn't show up the day of, so we had to quickly get someone in there. And I think Robert did a great job. This was the first of the ads that Scott shot with Len. I wanted there to be like act breaks, sort of like RoboCop. I had written a couple, but none of them got shot. And Len shot his own for the movie to kind of pad it out. And I wish we used mine. Mine were actually really funny and pretty fucked up as well. I've recycled some of those elements for other projects since then. But this is about like, this is the People for the Ethical Treatment of Zombies, basically saying that like, hey, zombies were people too, and let's treat them better. So I didn't meet any of these actors. I didn't see any of this stuff until the movie was cut together. And they're giving this dude this zombie a bath. I really like them. And you can never go wrong with a fart joke. And pulling his hair out and shit like that. No, I really like the makeup on this one, and the kind of colorful, cheerful vibe of it stands so against what we're gonna get for the movie when we go with more of an EC Comics look to it. So I think this stuff's really funny, and it works in the context of the movie. My favorite of all the ads we'll get to is the car ad, but like this stuff feels very very Len. I don't know who that goth girl is, but I dig her Bauhaus shirt. But yeah, this one is so different than anything else in Len's filmography, because so much of it is me, and him trying to make it feel like me, which causes a lot of the tonal inconsistencies in the movie. And again, that's on me. People for the Ethical Treatment of Zombies. I'm so clever. But I needed like those non sequiturs so that we can have, fill in some of the gaps on who these groups are and why they're here and how all this narrative works together. But Robert did a great job, man. There's the weird sex scene. The whole thing I wanted was just his glasses and to show his socks. But when I saw that she was going to be completely naked, I was like, uh-oh. And we got a lot of angles on this. But the reason I wrote it for the other guy in mind is because that other director, is sort of like this in real life. So don't drop the guns. Take the guns with you. What are you doing? There's zombies out there. What are you doing? Don't put the guns down. I wasn't here when this part was shot. I would have been like, why aren't you taking the guns? That brain thing was made by Ryan Hickey. Brian Donahue, he's going to go in the event that Len fails. But Lobo playing off him is just great. And I love the line that's coming up. He's like, I believe in our plan. I was like, how much do we believe in our plan in percents? He's like, 100%. He's like, that's a lot of percents. I wrote that while I was driving, and it just came to me, so I wrote it down. But Lobo's reaction that's a lot of percents. I was behind the camera, and I was like, okay, this is going to work. Like, there's a couple times you look at something, and you're like, all right, this is really going to work. And the two girls are named... it's Doler and Ray, named after Don Doler and Fredel and Ray. Tried to get as many B-movie things in there as I could. So now we're kind of in the swampy area of swamp zombies. Not really. But I tried to get us as close to like water as possible. There you go. There's swampland. See? There's swamp and swamp zombies too. This was the first day shooting with them, because I remember going out. We took everybody around in the golf cart to get them where we were going, deep in the woods of the on the set, and we came across this little bridge, and I was like, "This is cool. It'll just add some weird depth of field." Then, woof, boom. Metz will love that. Metz is a metaphobic. But it's just funny. I remember writing these lines, either sitting on my bed at my apartment or in my office at the Wayne. I wrote most of this at the Anthony Wayne, and it's funny when we were filming it to see people actually reading my lines, but it's even funnier now watching it again, because I've seen this movie a few times, to just know, like, man, I remember where I was when I wrote this, and him following the Pit Boy in order to know where they're going. It wasn't just a little extra piece of things that we gave him. More zombies. And there's Jenna. Jenna was a Red Letter Media fan who came on to do some graphics and stuff like that for the movie, and wound up being cast. She sort of looks like Louis C.K.'s wife in the Louis Show. This part was originally written for an actress named Melissa O'Donnell, who I'm a big fan of, but she had just moved to New York and was doing some union stuff. And Jenna has a background in fighting as well, like is done, she's trained. So I thought she would be really good. I gave her the Batman punch there, where he comes up and whacks the dude from behind. But she's cool. I haven't spoken to her in a couple years now. And there's Draco. Draco used to be one of my employees at the Wayne. He's a rapper. And I wrote this part especially for him. I wanted a suburban Jewish white kid who thinks that he's a gangsta, and then Andrew instead made him a suburban Jewish juggalo who also speaks with a Vato accent, and just made it his own. And every time I watch his scenes, I laugh, man. I was like, he came out of nowhere with this whole thing we got on set, and I was like, I'm not going to tell him no. This is fucking great. But he see that zombie coming. And Joe Lascola did these effects from the movie Dumpster. I used to work with him a lot before he went on and was working with the Hack Movie guys. That is the lead singer of Nerd Surge. Mike there as that zombie. Probably should have seen that coming. Yeah. But his makeup's great. Christy Berger did all of his makeup on that one, and really created a character with that zombie makeup. I love how bloody his hands and his mouth are. It's like, bitch, get up. Stop tripping over everything. He just left her behind. What a nobleman. And there's Metz as the green-haired zombie with a titty out. One of 3 zombies Metz plays in this movie. But Jack is there to save the day. Keep them running. These 2 dudes were also wrestlers. They were friends with my former friend Justin Silverman as well, so they came with him. There's the head smash, so there was a Frankenstein mask. Took the head off. That was a fun one to shoot. Metz grabbing him. So we put the wig on Metz because we knew that there had to be another zombie in it. And the head that we had, boom, you see the styrofoam though? There was supposed to be a blood pack inside, and they shot it and didn't put the blood pack inside. So I always think that's funny when they didn't add the effect. And then he went on and did all these kind of Tron-esque scenes. And they get to the compound, which we never see that gate again. And we're into the main crux. There I am! Whack! With Justin Daniels, back when his hair was short. I gave myself all the best dialogue. Wearing a Protector 101 shirt as a synth rock group. Did a lot of music for me for a midnight show. And I'm just hamming the fuck out of it. I was supposed to come into the movie earlier, but I think it works out pretty well where this group comes into the movie. Um, they tied me up because I let these two get away with two guns, and I didn't let the people know that the mouse character was, trying to take this whole thing down. So they don't trust me, just like they don't trust them, and they're trying to, everybody's kind of turned on each other. And you come to find out that I'm a YouTuber. A lot of mean mugging. This is my office at the Wayne. This is actually the very last shot of the movie, and that was on the computer is from Underbelly. Wow. Yeah, so I helped the mouse character get a way to set this whole thing into motion. Um, because she contacted me, being that I was a famous YouTuber, and thought that I could help her plan in getting this whole thing together. And of course, I fell for it because I'm a dummy. This is Crystal and I shot this scene ourselves in the kitchen of the summer camp. I wrote the kiss in just to see if she would do it because her boyfriend at the time was there. I didn't even take my cell phone out of my pocket, which is funny. Like, why would we be allowed to have cell phones in this secret government base? But yeah, so we shot this, and this scene surprised me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, like she's she may hate my fucking guts and all that kind of stuff, and told me she wished she never met me, but very very good actress, and oh there you go, awkward right, whatever. I took her virginity. She has nothing to say. But in that scene, seeing it cut together, I was like, wow, she's a really, really good actress. Like she can really, she can do a lot more than just, these dumb little fake movie trailers and shit that I made. Like I think she's a really, really good actress. Has really good screen presence. And then we have Andrew here mugging it up. Me coming back all nonchalantly to like everything's okay and nothing weird happened back there. Tried to be dramatic here. God, my nose is huge. And I like how his response to the whole thing is. But yeah, I tried to act like I knew what I was doing when it came to being an actor. But I don't. I was just trying to be a character. And you watch it sometimes, you just go, oh boy. But just sort of whole movie of just Draco making faces. That was an interesting shot because the director is filming as his wife pulls her top down, and I'm trying my best to keep eye contact. But yeah, so she yes, Elvira, we're watching Swamp Zombies 2. The mouse character triggers the the safeties, and we were supposed to have CGI towers to flash to show that the security's down so that the zombies can now get into our space, and they forgot to shoot those, so we got what we got. That's on the girl on the far right is Justin Daniels' daughter Skylar. Save the shells. Save the shells for what? They throw their guns down. And then I didn't even want to pick up a gun because I was at this point well, we're not going to use them. Then what's the fucking point? We should be shooting, but we didn't. And then the running around the thing and then coming back was I reused that joke because that originally came from Midnight Show. The guy in the goggles and the mask is Joe Chapman, who's a friend of mine. The female zombie back there in the stripes or in like in the stripes is Penelope. That's Justin's wife, Justin Daniels' wife. And then the other guy with the long hair was John Iswa, who's a friend of mine. Shot a bunch of stuff with him. So now that we're all kind of caught up on the story, we can get into some of the dramatic beats where Justin just fucking nails this scene where he actually gives a reason why he's here and why he's doing what he's doing. And I wanted to write more, character beats like that, but having to keep trimming stuff down, you lose a lot of that fun, that more weighty stuff. I know. I had no say over that, Elvira. And then I wanted a scene early on where I get attacked. Nobody saw that zombie coming. Fighting with Penelope, so that I could get sprayed down with blood. And I wanted my Bruce Campbell moment. It went up my nose and in my eye. He seems nice. So they all gotta make a move on it and get to the compound to stop this. But here, Len wanted to do a scene where he takes his shirt off. And then he wanted to add a scene where we have a little bit of the footage from the first movie to show that he's kind of a broken individual from the first movie, and all this is kind of putting him back into that headspace that he tried to get away from. So I wrote all this stuff in. On one of the takes, the script was still in his back pocket, and you can see it on the bloopers that he left the script in. I was like, cut, can we do this again? But without the script there. So yeah, he kind of goes to like meditate a little bit and clean the blood up off of himself, and then we have some flashes to the first movie to have some kind of connection to it. But then I also needed a scene where they steal the Pip-Boy because no one in the compound's allowed to know how to get to the main holding area. So we have this lake is at Liberty Lake Day Camp. And we just face acting as stuff for the first movie. I don't know, people don't like this scene. I actually like this. I like the connection to the first movie. I like the connection to him fighting his own demons and stuff like that. I think it's a nice way to build it as a sequel that's not so directly connected to being a sequel. If you never saw the first one, you can know that this guy's got some kind of past, you know what I mean? So I think this scene works, but then again, I wrote it, so what the fuck do I know? And it shows he's been through some, trials and tribulations. So he steals the obvious green-screened Pip-Boy. And this was the last thing we shot with Crystal, I believe. Boom. I was puppeteering that, and that was a real big, scary fucking knife that she was holding. And when she came down the first time, she missed, and I was scared shitless. So he comes back, he's got the thing. Let's get out of here together and get away from these clowns. So with Justin and Jenna standing there, there's really funny bloopers on the Blu-ray of the two of them just making up dialogue for that scene, and it's really, really funny. The two of them had really good chemistry together. I love Justin Daniels' reactions to things in this movie. He just feels like such a lived-in character too. The hair, the beard, the tattoos, everything. Like he doesn't feel like a B-movie stock character. He feels like a guy that would exist in this kind of world. Now this stuff here at Fright Factory, this was the very first thing we ever shot for the movie. and all the stuff with him calling to Swan, finding the communicator and all that. And then here we are, Jerome. That was, I didn't know that Jerome was up, and we were supposed to be walking, and literally I walked right into a fucking spider web. So if you watch it again, I'm doing this because I didn't know I was on frame, because I'm a professional actor. And then all this green screen stuff they did. He did a really, really good fucking job with this. But this right here was the very, very first shot that we filmed at Fright Factory, the very first day of filming. The Boom Baby was the first thing, and then I green screened out all these screens so that we can add them back, add in the communication and all that kind of stuff. And then we shot all of Lobo, Abby, and Mel in one day to completely wrap the movie up. And then Lobo went back after the fact and added some stuff for Len in the third act that I didn't know about until the movie premiered. So we shot 2 days at Fright Factory. Joe Chapman did this whole thing right here. I told him I wanted like the Lionsgate logo for the thing opening up to let them into the compound. And Joe did that, and then he did this great transition from the screen back to kind of show that all three plots are kind of coming together. Crystal grabbing the thing was shot on the last day, and we didn't have, that's not Len's wife there. That shot was, but the butt shot wasn't. That was just someone else standing in so that we can sync these two things together. Because when we watched all the footage, we realized that we were missing stuff. So we had to go back and get as much B-roll and insert shots as we could to make it all work. A lot of these zombies were all shot out in one day in the holding areas in the Fright Factory, which is this Philadelphia big indoor horror walkthrough. They filmed Terrifier 2 there, and it was, I got the hookup for this place through my buddy Tony DeBartolus. And then, he got us to shoot here. And then when they wanted to shoot Terrifier 2 there, I was the connection for that. And then I wasn't asked to be involved with Terrifier 2. But the dude who dropped out of playing the Robert Smith character was. So. And a lot of these people, not that guy, that's George. He's friends with Justin and Penelope. A lot of these people were just friends or followers of Len through Red Letter Media, and Len had posted in the Red Letter Media Reddit that we were going to be making this movie and we needed zombies, and people showed up to do it. We had a lot of extras. I wanted this shot to be like that famous Spawn cover where all the well-known superheroes' hands are reaching out of the jail, there's Penelope again, but this time as a cheerleader zombie. Wearing my Mars vs. Cheerleader outfits. Again, many people play several characters in this because people didn't show up, didn't tell us they weren't showing up. There was supposed to be a lot more TNA in this movie as well, and people who agreed to come out and do things and then were paid to do things just never fucking showed up, so that led to a whole thing. But we did what we had to do to make sure that there was a beginning, a middle, and an end to this movie. So Logan's character is Robert Smith's character. He snaps. He's not going to get his way, and he's not used to getting his way. So he goes crazy on his girlfriend here and throws her out to get eaten by the zombies because he's a total piece of shit. And there's George Scully. We used this same tunnel set for the Mars vs. Cheerleaders thing. That's where Crystal's at. There's the thematic, the hand coming down again. The Crystal 5, 6, 7, 8, who do we eviscerate scene. So we used this location a bunch of times where we could. I love the pox appliances that they added to her face and stuff. So now we're moving through the inside of the thing. Len didn't like it because it looked too much like a haunt, but I kind of think that adds to the charm of it a little bit. That there's a, there's a whole built-in B-movie style world here, and I love the lighting that we get as well, the blues and the reds and the greens. It's very, very stylistic, very Suspiria, very EC comic vibe, and then me kind of cowering behind Justin as we go. My hair is clearly longer from shot to shot. The blood changes on things. Tried to keep continuity, but it was a little bit harder. Or we could just say that it was so stressful that my hair grew. So Robert Smith's Logan character has now turned off all the protections, not just the gates around the compound. So now all the zombies are being called to the thing, and all the ones that are trapped in there they're experimenting on are now loose. So it's a lot like Day of the Dead in that regard. Or at least that's how I saw it in my mind. But all these sets were already there, and they all looked fucking cool, so I figured, let's shoot the living shit out of them, and see what we can get out of it. So there's Brandon Brooks, who used to be my assistant manager at the Wayne Theater. He has some fight training, so he came out and played this character. And this scene here was literally a last-minute addition. And there's Wes again. Wes was the African-American zombie with the, mold hanging from him and stuff like that. He came back and played another zombie. The clown zombie, you can hear Rich Evans laughing in the background because he added it in post to add another Red Letter Media thing. You also hear the suburban Sasquatch sound in this scene to further put it in the Red Letter Media world. But this fight scene was added at the very last minute because I wanted an action scene. I wanted something to do. I'm a zombie in the background of this crowd shot. And all I did was put a hood up because we didn't have any more makeup. So they're fighting. I run in, heads up, boom, and then their heads pop off. And you gotta be fucking kidding me. Look at that. I wanted one action beat. That's all I asked for. I was like, all right, I get a kiss in it. I want an action beat. There's Metz again as the Lederhosen zombie with the side of her cheek eaten off. It was her idea to have her tits out, or their tits out, again with the hand. That ring looks familiar that Crystal's wearing. The guy in the back there is actually missing an arm, and I kind of wish we featured him a little bit more. We pull her into this room. They're arguing about killing each other because she set it all in motion. There's Crystal kind of giving a big old exposition drop because we had to get a couple pages worth of stuff in, and Jen is trying to hold the door from the zombies getting in. And now the plot becomes more clear as to what's going on. It's all industrial. Made that line up on the spot. We're going to let Jenna hold the door for too long. Angry Crystal. I'm used to those hand motions. Well, I was. Metz with the jaw makeup. Jaw makeup looks great. The shoe commercial was great. This one was done by Scott, and this actually came out really, really good. The shoe insoles, the Z treads. And then he also did the car, outrun them all. He also did the car commercial one. So they're going to send in Brian now to clean up the mess that was created by Jack going in after Lisa Neild went in to all bring down Crystal Quinn. So all these props were just stuff that Joe Chapman had in his studio, so we just created like a Metal Gear Solid Aliens style character for Brian to play, and he came out and he did a great job. This here was shot, the scenes of Crystal up against the wall here were shot in the projection booth at my theater the same night that we shot the opening scene. The fallout shelter thing was the only thing we had to keep it not looking so obviously like a projection booth, because the corner she just turned into literally led into my candy room, where we kept all of our stock and stuff like that. And then the original brain that created the zombie outbreak, I guess is what that is. The idea for the third one would have stemmed from the last scene using this brain, but we had to shoot so much of this in pieces. So you see like the opening scene of Joe holding the girl back, and then the scene of Crystal up against the wall and stuff like that. A lot of these scenes were just patchworked in to fill in gaps. And it's funny that Brian would come do this, and they forgot to credit him. Brian's name's not in the credits because whoever did the editing forgot. Here's us fighting in the this really cramped corridor at Fright Factory, and we saw quite a bit of creepy ass spiders and shit like that while we were in there. And then some people had to sit on the floor, and I wouldn't have sat on that floor. We had to keep moving signs around because they would say like actors this way on the walls and shit like that. So yeah, so I save Crystal and we make a run for it. But oh no, this guy's got Jenna. There you go. See, he finally used his fucking gun. If they'd have done that before, we would have been fine. So we have to start picking off some of our characters. She can't go. She's not going to make it. I think her character lived a little bit longer in the original script, but again, we get to a point where and where'd the other zombies go? We only shot one. I guess the other ones got scared off by the sound of the gun. Action hero Newt. My hair's a different color again. The blood doesn't go all the way up to my brow. I'm out of it. I'm not the hero I thought I was. Justin's had enough. He's seen enough death in his life. It's very dramatic. He's got such screen presence, though, man. That's why I based Florida Man on him. Is I was just like, this dude's so fucking talented. Like Justin, yes, he owns a retro toy store, and yes, he's a super talented musician too. But the guy's a great actor and a great storyteller, and just like all around, like him and his wife are just two of the coolest fucking people in the entire world. And just like, you know, he's got like he oh no, well he's dead now. But and then here's the other time we got the blood burst. Boom. But what I was saying about Justin is he's so natural on camera. You could just tell in his eyes that he's in the scene and he feels it, you know. And this is a cool shot, though. I really like the way that Scott shot this and the way that it was lit, too. I would have had the camera keep moving past them, but she's gone. So that's 2 for 1. And here you hear the Rich Evans laugh, and you hear the suburban Sasquatch. But this is the kind of Captain Rhodes in Day of the Dead choke on him style kill here, and he went with a very like Saw style lighting too. That kind of ugly greenish hue to it, I think really works. The dude in the clown costume was a big Pokemon fan who followed my old YouTube show. And we were filming, we were covered in blood, and Crystal had asked for my jacket, so I sent that actor to go, okay, so this is funny. So I needed a scene of her to be in her underwear, and I wrote in the, I'm trying not to look, and it's the, Yeah, all this and brains too, which is what Vicky Vale's shirt says in the Prince Bat Dance video. But it's supposed to be she spends the rest of the thing in her underwear, but it was way too cold, so she's supposed to like wipe the stuff off with her shirt and then not be able to put it back on and cleaning the blood off her. But instead, it's just like she's stripping for no reason because they didn't get what we needed to get. But yeah, I've got way more blood. It doesn't match, but you know, we get an attractive actress in a red bra. This stuff all looked great. We shot this in the back hallway at Chapman Studios, and the blue light coming through with the fog and the flashlight looks great. And then, oh, we got her too. Boom. I was the door operator on that one. So this was some of the last stuff we ever shot for the movie, and then Robert's waiting there for him. So in the context of this, Len is supposed to get shot and be injured, but still able to fight on. But he didn't want to get shot, so we literally had to throw everything from his death, Robert's death on. We had to basically throw out and make up as we went because we didn't have a script to work off at that point. Then we kind of explain here that his dad's like rich, and I ruined that shirt, those pants, those shoes. As soon as we were done filming, all of it had to go in the trash. There's Scott there, Logan and Sons Inc., Logan Sr. Scott's so fucking funny. He shot the great ad for Farpoint Toys, which is the Justin and Penelope's toy store that Dante from Clerks is in the commercial, and a bunch of people in cosplay and cool like movie cars and shit like that. He's a super talented guy. And he really got to show off his stuff here. But that break there was supposed to be there, and Scott shot his own version. It was really good. I just love the way the lighting looks in these. Like, I love the harsher, darker colors in the front and the warmer colors in the background. How the front and the back are very separated, and I think that really plays well. And there's a zombie version of his lady. Electric boobs for some reason. And then there's Crystal Skull. That was the head that Joe Lascola made for Creature Feature. That was Crystal Quinn's head. And so all this stuff I was not around for. This was not in my script. The lines where there's ADR of us talking in darkness because we didn't have anything to bridge the gap between what we had shot and what Len had shot. So everything from here on, he shot in Erie without me, and I didn't know it was shot until the premiere. So it was interesting to be like, oh, okay, well, this is something new. But it gives him an excuse to bring Lisa Neal back and add another fight scene to the movie. Because he brings back Jenna as well as a zombie. And then Lobo kind of is taunting him a little bit to say, you know, you're not going to get any further. And Lobo does a good job of staying consistent between my writing and Len's writing as well, so that it doesn't feel out of character or jarring. And I agree with Len that it needed another fight scene. And the background works well here because you can't tell that it's not at Fright Factory. And then you just had some stuff that Crystal and I had to make up. There's some of my employees of the movie theater. One was wearing the Real Cinemas work shirt. The one kid who's in the thing, he had the fake mouth on, and his mom saw the picture on Facebook, and she's like, if anybody sees that, they're not going to let you on the plane to go to Ireland. I was just like, your mom does know how things work, right? So yeah, all this shit of fiddling with the dials and all that was just all made up on the spot because it was the last day we had available at Fright Factory, and we had to just make it work. And we got another zombie here as things are just exploding real good. This zombie has a sword, but I guess it works too in the fact that, you know, the main plot is that they're making zombie soldiers, you know, so it works with the narrative of the plot of the movie, basically, that there would be these types of things. I'm gonna pause here because I am getting a phone call. Okay, now that we're done talking the work, my projection booth, that's Gabe, one of my former assistants, and then we're back to the fight. I wish I would have given Len more time and more money to be able to work out the fight scenes more like he wanted them, because I feel like the dude is extremely skilled. There's Melissa again. Well, I got to get to come back on the channel soon. But we had shot a bunch of that stuff that was all supposed to go in another spot in the movie, but it got used here since they added all this. But, you know, I wish I would have given Len more time and ability to go crazy with the fight scenes, because I feel like there's so much more that he could have done for this movie that I didn't have the ability to give him. And there's no blood on the blade. Maybe zombie blood doesn't collect on that. But yeah, so he's taking out 2, and then Lobo adds another one. He's got another one he's got to fight. Like a video game, like you got to get to the main boss. And so Jenna's back as a zombie, and like I said, Jenna was trained as well. It was nice of Lobo to build this segment of the building of his compound with padded floor mats, just in case a zombie fight ever broke out. But like the two of them do it, like you could tell the people who have fighting experience with him were able to choreograph quickly, because that's kind of how we had to do it. Well, how they had to do it. In the script, I wrote a couple beats that I wanted to see in some of the fight scenes, and then I kind of let Len do I let Len do his thing because he knows more about this than I do. But I wish that I would have given him more to kind of be able to make the fights more spectacular. Yeah, we're just kind of making it up as we go here. But Scott was able to kind of edit it together where it looks like it, you know, makes sense in some way, shape, or form. Because I really wasn't sure how this thing was going to cut together. We didn't get as much coverage as I wanted, and we were missing a lot of stuff that I wanted to get. But, you know, it works. I've seen a lot of movies that cost a lot more than this that don't look half this fucking good, you know. And granted, it's not some piece of art. It's definitely a little schlocky B movie with a ton of audio problems and a ton of continuity errors and lighting errors and sound errors and costume and blood and all that type of stuff. And then this concludes our broadcast day. Was how the script ended originally. But they're into the building. Crystal's character is cracked because she's a hacker, you know. The way that the character he wanted was to be, her name's Mouse. He wanted her to be like kind of mousy and not very attractive until she takes her glasses off and lets her hair down, sort of like an 80s teen movie. But instead I hired a tall, attractive redhead to play the part. But yeah, so Lobo's trying to get back control. And this is kind of my Star Trek 2 between Khan and the Enterprise kind of thing here. Even Lobo pointed that out when we were shooting it. Abby's great. Abby's so fucking good in everything. She's like, she's moved on. She's in another, she's mom now, and she lives in Michigan, but just my favorite actress to work with for so long because she just fucking got it. And here's Brian moving through the thing, and Brian was so tickled by the line that I give him when he turns the corner that he kept laughing when he did it. So we have him turn as we're moving through the Fright Factory, and we'll see all the little kids coming up. And he's going to take out Len with that big sci-fi gun and get control of this situation. All right, bye, Elvira. The joys of having hardwood floors. My cat runs around like a psychopath and I can hear it. So you have all these little kids. They were friends of ours, kids. And there was no line in the script because we didn't know if we were going to have kids or not for that day. So he turns the corner and says, it's like taking candy from a baby with a gun. So yeah, we didn't know if we were going to have kids show up on the day, so we weren't going to put this scene in at all. And then when we were able to finally do it, I just came up with this stuff on the thing. When they attack him, the littlest kid kept grabbing I'm like, all right, grab, 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 grab. You know, you're gonna be eating him. And the one little kid kept grabbing his crotchal area, and we're trying not to laugh because we have to spray blood. But the kid just kept like fucking grabbing his man parts, and then the blood went up his nose because it was supposed to come. We were supposed to shoot this differently, so he wasn't pleased by that. And then they pull out the eyeball, and I don't remember if it was Ryan or Joe Lascola who made this, but they literally made it on the spot, pulling the eyeball out. Because I was like, "What can we do here?" And they're like, "We could have like an eyeball come out." And I was like, "Perfect, we'll throw that in there." So we made up so much of this shit on the spot to finish the movie because the whole, like I said, the whole script got thrown away. And then there's Zombie Mel. And then Lobo's gonna get a jolt of the chemical that makes the zombies and inject himself with it. And that needle came from the party store on my drive up that day to shoot. And this was gonna set up the idea for the third movie, which was going to be Lobo injects himself and goes completely crazy and becomes like a cult leader on an island for people who worship the dead. And they were going to send Len in with like a SEAL Team 6 type group to fight these zombie ninjas basically, and everyone would have like, you know, supernatural powers and shit. But that third movie never happened. Maybe it will one day. I don't know. Len and I met up last weekend when we were shooting this in Akron. So you never know what could happen. But, you know, this concludes our broadcast day. And that's where my script was supposed to end there. And then we have our credits. Directed by Len Kabaczynski. Written by me, Newt Wallen. Scott with the editing. Joe Lascola with makeup. Ryan Hickey with makeup. You know, produced by myself and Kevin Oros. Kevin didn't love the movie. And then we go into, you know, I do love that we got our you know, who put a name to a face at the end. I always like when movies do this. Robert Smith, but not the lead singer of The Cure. Lisa Neild. Yeah, pretty much. Jenna. I haven't talked to. Newt Wallen, the true star of the movie. Justin Skylar Daniels. And then Len added these scenes to kind of tie up loose ends of these characters that he introduced, because he wanted to show that Len is kind of, that Jack is kind of out there and is eventually going to, you know, expose everyone involved in this whole thing. Swamp Zombies 2. Lucky Stiffs. So yeah, that's Swamp Zombies 2, man. Amber is named after an ex-girlfriend of mine. Pam is obviously named after Pam Grier. Michaels and Doler were the two B movie directors. I don't know why I thought it was Ray. And then you know, I don't know. I like this movie. I know people give it shit. I've read some really negative reviews and stuff like that. But I got to get together with my friends and make a movie, and we all got to, you know, we got to have some fucking fun, man. You got Brandon Brooks, you got Michael Wynn, Wesley Green, George Scully, John Ezwa, Penelope Daniels, Greg Orsi, who I still talk to, Joe Chapman, who I still talk to, Metz Donato, as Schoolgirl Zombie and Exposed Jaws Zombie, Skylar, Baron Craze, you know, all these people who you know, Ellie J, all these people, Sean Meehan is the clown zombie who fucking broke my phone. because he picked up my pea coat to whip it around to give it to Crystal, and my phone went fucking flying and smashed it. But you know, Len with his lighting, Jenna and Scott working on the giving the post production stuff a look. Eric Welch worked on this one as well. I forgot about that. He used to be a Trauma guy, and then obviously Kristen Berger, location manager, myself, Joe Chapman, and Jared Courtney, who I used to work with. He used to work for me at the theater, and he used to be on that show, Silvermania. Robert Nixon did the teaser poster artwork. Steven Sestelli did the main poster. James F. Murray from Mad Rod's Previews from Hell came out and did set photography. Dixie Lobo, Mr. Lobo's wife, came out and helped with us. It was all these people, like, you know, when we put it out there that we were going to be making a movie, and then a lot of people wanted to be involved, and that's pretty cool, man. And yeah, Robert Smith did do the shirts. Okay, cool. I forgot. Yeah, I don't know. It's neat to think back on that time of a bunch of people who were just like, let's go put on a show, you know, and you know, Len lived hours away, and we were able to get together through Facebook Messenger and put this together, and oh yeah, Scott and Jenna did music for it too. I forgot about that. But you know, to gather my friends together, and then his people to gather together, and whoever showed up on that particular fucking day to try our best to make it work. Because a lot of times people just did not show up, and it felt sometimes like we were not going to have a film, you know. But we were able to put it together. The Horror Boys soundtrack, Chapman Productions, Real Cinemas PA, because we use so much of that. Fright Factory, Liberty Lake Day Camp, the Erie Movie House in Erie, PA. All the fans of Red Letter Media. And you can go on to Killer Wolf Films, which is Len's production company. Go onto the Patreon and see what he's up to. I like this movie. Again, you know, 2018 feels like 10 lifetimes ago, but there's a lot of stuff in here which is really strong, and I think that pound for pound, if you look at it as a, you know, as a no budget, high concept B movie, it's kind of hard not to be charmed by it. There's Len's car with a zombie washing his car. He now runs the show, Lucky Stiffs. Yeah, man, I all in all, I think that I'm glad that people took to the movie, who watched me on Hack Movies, and who were fans of Red Letter Media, or fans of Len, or whatever, have taken to the movie, and you know, I've gotten so many copies to sign. And you know, and we've gotten better reviews. Like, people have actually, like, they look at it for what it is and have kind of changed their perception on it a little bit. And I always tell people, it's like the Ed Wood's. Like, you know, people go, it's the worst movie I've ever seen. I said, well, my next one will be better. And I learned a lot on this one as to how to make a movie, how to handle productions as well, put them on the glass, and for that, I'll forever be grateful to Len for giving me the opportunity to make this movie. And yeah, man, thank you so much, guys, for joining us for this audio production, commentary track of Swamp Zombies 2. Right here, my personal copy. Yeah, maybe we'll make a Swamp Zombies 3 one day. But until then, if you want to hear some of the inside stuff, you can sign up for our Patreon. If you're already on the Patreon, you're watching this, thank you so much. Check out Killer Wolf Films. That's Len's production company. I know he's got some projects coming up. He's got a wrestling horror movie coming up. And keep an eye on more Schlock and Awe films. And we'll do some more commentary tracks on movies that I was part of and stuff like that. But it's been a couple years since I've gone down memory lane and rewatched this movie, and you know, knowing what it took to make it and all the trials and tribulations behind it, it's a movie and it exists and you can watch it right now easily. It's got some great fucking lighting in it, and it's got some fun performances in it, and some weird, quirky idiosyncrasies in it. So for that, I'm a big fan of it, and I hope you guys are too. So thank you for joining me.